Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Damn, set. Watch him throw the ball. Man. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast. I'm your host of Trap or Die Podcast, Mual, and here with the fellas, man. AJ, Dre in the building, the virtual building. Commanders sneak by 20-19 against the New Orleans Saints on the road, man. In a series of unfortunate events, they find themselves in a battle in the fourth quarter, second half generally, overall, when Spencer Rattler came in for Jake Haener. I actually don't even know what the fuck happened. I don't even know what happened to Jake Haener. I have no idea unless he just got benched. But Spencer came in for Jake, and they went on a 19-6 run in that second half that ultimately put Washington's 9th win of the season in jeopardy. If you all are tapping in live, we appreciate you all joining. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on the YouTube side. Of course, Al too. I see you. Peacecraft. John, I see you. Amani, I see you. Donnell, what's up? Audio side, if you're listening to the podcast version, we appreciate you all watching or listening. My bad. Make sure you hit that follow button if you are not following the podcast. Rating review does help as always. Whoo. Fellas, I mean, 14-0 start, 14-0 start. Things look pretty good. I mean, even like throughout the day, I'm sitting here going into that last drive. First off, Terry, 2 touchdowns, 2 tutties, Terry 2 times in the end zone. You go into the half 14-0. Your defense pitches a shutout against Haener. They really can't, like Jake in the New Orleans Saints offense really can't do anything against this defense. A lot to do with Haener just being completely inaccurate. He's getting sacked as soon as he gets to the top of his drops. He can't hit a person in the flats to save his life. His best receiver, who is anybody's best receiver, honestly, if you're playing for the New Orleans Saints and you're the quarterback, is Alvin Kamara. They make that change to Spencer, and a lot of things change defensively. Offensively, you give up 8 sacks or 9 sacks, I believe, on the day. I'm on the double check. I know it was at least 8 sacks. Yeah, 8 sacks for Jaden. But super efficient through the air for Jaden throughout the day. Right, we're going to get into the last couple plays. Him and Terry not being able to get on the same page. But 66 yards on the ground, 226 yards in the air. A good day for the most part, despite the fact that they kept getting set back with the sacks. Who's the dude who came in for Diotis? It's Dieter, right? Dieter's the center.
Yeah, Michael Dieter.
But I seen him getting his ass whooped. I seen John Bates getting his ass whooped. I think Andrew Wiley, but I know for sure John Bates was on the right side a couple times. He was getting handed to him. We talked about pregame, man. That pressure for New Orleans Saints, they don't get home, but they are a top 10 pressure team. If you watch Trap or Dive, you know very well, like they were going to pressure the quarterback. This time they got home. Fellas, I'm gonna hand it over to you all. Ugly game. You sneak by, you get a dub. But what are your thoughts on? I mean, like they just struggled to finish on, bro. It's a sour taste in your mouth, basically.
Hey man, I mean, it's good that we were able to come on here and speak about a victory and how that game was going. Thank God for Diami Brown helping them win 20-19. Definitely put them over the edge to, get that victory. But in all seriousness, man, Washington came out sluggish offensively. They actually are sluggish all game offensively. That run game could not get established at all. Dieter, one of the key elements of playing center is identifying blitzes and different things, just helping your quarterback out. And you could tell that Biotis was definitely missed. But overall, as a collective, the offensive line was doo-doo. Like, it was straight doo-doo. Yeah, like we said on Trap or Dive last week. Well, not last week, but Thursday. They're not gonna blitz, but they were still getting home as if they were blitzing. So just imagine if they did blitz more. You feel me? Like, they probably would have finished the game with 15 sacks. I think Jaden Daniels balled out or whatever. Couple throws he probably wants back, but I feel like Terry also should want some of those attempts back too, because he should have had a 6 in that fourth quarter for sure. Yeah, I'm surprised Brian Robinson didn't score at least one touchdown. But yeah, the offensive line looked sketch. And once again, man, Cliff, you got to get 6 when you're in the red zone, man. Like, that helps teams keep around. Like, I think at that point in the game was 14-0. So instead of scoring that touchdown, and I think you had like the 3-yard line, like, you don't score and you have to kick a field goal, which now turns the game into 17-0. But all you need is one touchdown to feel like you got an opportunity to get back into the game. So it's very interesting. I don't really have too much to say about the defense. I think when you go from game planning against a guy like a Hainer to now having to switch to a Spencer Rattler who has a more active arm, really doesn't give two dams throwing the ball, he'll let that thing go. And that's exactly what he did. He was getting in his dropbacks and letting it fly or extending plays with his legs. That's just who Spencer has always been from a collegiate standpoint. That's someone that I can say I've seen play, so I know his traits, whereas Hainer, know nothing about the dude. He looked like a 52 overall quarterback in Madden. So yeah, I don't really have too much to complain about defensively. Maybe the some of the penalties, but overall, Washington, especially offensively, just looked very sluggish, and that's what I kind of asked you guys Thursday. What are we expecting this offense to look like coming out of the bye week? And yeah, that's exactly what it looked like overall.
I mean, for me, that second half was just so strange. It was like everything that could start to go wrong in that second half could start to go wrong. It almost felt like watching one of those old Buffalo Wild Wings commercials where everything goes wild just to keep the game going or keep the game close. And that's what was happening. Like, the Saints started inching their way. Their first drive that they got the touchdown on with Spencer Rattler, you had, I think, a stupid penalty on that drive. An amazing throw and catch that Spencer Rattler made. I forget who it was. I think it was Valdez Scantling, where Jeremy Chin. I thought he could have attacked I thought Jeremy Chin could have attacked the ball a little bit better on that play. And then you had the crazy little pitch handoff to Cedric Wilson, who throws the touchdown to Kamara. And then that just kind of to get the freak show going in a sense. And that's when the offense, offensively, you missed a couple of things. Like, I see Al too has been going off in the chat. Now, I don't have an issue with Cliff calling those plays. We've been wanting Cliff and them to kind of call
right. It
those
was an overthrow, and the dude. It was an overthrow one play, and then Terry dropped the joint on the sideline. Like, yeah. I'm trying to figure out, and then I'm so confused by that. Like,
I don't understand complaining about trying to stretch the field vertically.
Cliff dialed it up, bro.
Yeah, like, I mean, even if you're not seeing it in games per se, you're seeing it in practice. You feel me?
Right.
I mean, that's one of Jada's best passes. Things gonna happen. You're not always gonna hit 100% on deep plays. So I don't really get the complaining of that. I think you probably, if you want to complain, maybe you might want to see another player getting those opportunities. But even in the limited deep shots that we're taking in this game, Terry was in fair position, some overthrows,
and then,
a drop, underthrow.
And then secondly, the last one, because Dre, I know you wasn't finished your point. The holding call that brought the Diami catch back, like, that's him stretching the field too. Like, that's a completion.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's unfortunate. you know. But I don't understand. I personally, I got worked up for a second. I just don't get the criticism on them stretching the field. Like that's exactly what they needed to do, losing Noah Brown, and they did it.
Right. I mean, and it's just the execution thing. I mean, those are plays you've seen Jaden make this season. I mean, he's made those throws to Terry this season quite a few times. I mean, he just missed them. Like I said, the first one was an overthrow. The second one, I thought Terry kind of threw the timing off because he kind of hesitated for like a half fraction of a second. And then he tries to catch up to it, got his hands on the ball, didn't come down with it. Then the third one, Jaden's like, well, damn, the first two were kind of outside of Terry's fingertips. Let me take a little bit off. And that's why you get the timing messed up on the third one. So you just kind of messed up the execution on some of those plays. And then the discipline kind of lacked in the second half. I mean, that's when you start to see the penalties. Now, I'll be honest, though. Those roughing the passer penalties was a little sketchy to me. Like, I thought both of them was a little sketchy. Maybe the first one I could see because I know the rule is the head, neck, and Dante Fowler did kind of get his hand up in that area. But the second one, I thought that was cheap and I thought that was petty. But either way, the discipline was just kind of lacking because you were getting those penalties on the offensive side of the football. Like we just talked about, the Dayami Brown catch, spectacular catch, a spectacular play by Dayami. Probably puts the game away right there, but you got an Allegretti hold. So, it's just certain things in the second half, like you want to stop the avalanche. And Washington had an avalanche happening, and it was a slow avalanche. This wasn't like one of those quick avalanches. This avalanche was coming down slow at Washington, and Washington had kind of no answer or nothing to stop it because something just kept preventing Washington from kind of putting forward in this game. Defensively, man, like we talked about the issues defensively. Spencer Rattler gets in the game. Seems like Washington weren't prepared to, guard, or they weren't prepared for Spencer Rattler in this game at all. Because Spencer Rattler came out looking better than I've seen him look this season. Didn't look great. He just looked better than he's looked this season. But I will say one encouraging thing to kind of take away from this defense is look at the respect the Saints have for Marshon Lattimore. I mean, Marshon Lattimore didn't get a target today, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they completely avoided his side of the football field. It also kind of allowed Jeremy Chin to be more aggressive, as we've been talking about on this show. One of the things we wanted to see, Jeremy Chin was at the quarterback. He was playing in the box a lot more in this game. So you saw the Marshon Lattimore impact good in this game. But again, it was just so frustrating. And I'm sitting here right now kind of just trying to figure out how to feel right now. Like, I want to be happy we won, and I'm not going to complain about winning or how we won. But at the same time, it's like that game didn't need to come down the way it did. It felt like we were dominating this game, and then you're just kind of letting up to the point where you almost lose this damn game. So right now, I'm just kind of processing my feelings on how I should feel at this point.
So let me show y'all something that the one thing that really teed me up was actually towards the end of the game. And then I'm gonna get back to actual football stuff. But what really teed me up, bro, is mostly because on my parlay I had Skins or Commanders -2.5. But this is relevant to the actual game. I've never seen this before, fellas. Let me go ahead and run it so you all can see if you all saw if you see what I saw too. So in the game, bro, 15 seconds left. Dude gets the ball. I'm gonna actually mute it. We don't need to hear it. Yeah. All right. Dude gets the ball. Who is that? Foster Moreau gets the ball at like the 12, at the 1 yard line, bro. It's 11 seconds left at this point. But I'm watching this, bro, and the clock stops. They stopped the clock for like 3 seconds, bro.
Jamal, I said the same thing. I said the same damn thing.
And I'm like, bro, and he spikes the ball at 3 seconds.
No, that was some bullshit.
I'm looking at this live, and I'm saying, like, I know I'm not tripping, bro. Like, there's no circumstances whatsoever in the game where the clock the clock should have stopped after they got the first down. This ain't college football. You don't pause to reset the clock, bro. I mean, to reset the ball. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, that's the one thing where I'm like, okay, Washington can't complain about I get people complaining about the refs, like from a fan standpoint, but in reality, like I'm in this situation where I'm saying Washington ain't in no position to complain about no flags when you bullshit on offense and then you getting sliced up by Spencer Rattler and company. And I mean, even in the run game, bro, to get them down to the red zone, dude, the running back that came in for Kamara, let me get his name right. Kendre Miller, he's popping off like 10 or 11 yard runs to get him down into plus territory for New Orleans. But I just want to put that out there, bro, because like that, if there was anything that was some BS, it was the last few plays or the last play of the game where you're talking about 3 seconds that are missing or unaccounted for by the refs when they're trying to spot the ball. All right, so here's the one thing that I want to kind of talk about from a team standpoint, right? I get the frustration from the red zone thing, but I honestly like Washington has been one of the better red zone teams over the last 3-4 weeks in the season. So like from a entire whole macro level, I really didn't have an issue with them ultimately being 2 for 3 in the red zone. If you isolate the incident or isolate the actual drive, there's no reason why you don't hand the ball off to B-Rob a couple times, bro. Get him in the end zone or test your luck then. Like, I know that you can tell the way that they were calling plays, Washington, you can tell that they expected New Orleans to play the run. So they were countering off that. They were playing off of that. But at the end of the day, B-Rob is B-Rob, bro. If you had the 1 yard line, 2 yard line, get in the end zone. That was one of the bigger things when you're talking about being up 14-0 and you have to settle for a field goal. That does hurt, right? But then you're talking about an offense who dominated TOP 40-19, 40-50-19. And like these random penalties ultimately set you back, or these sacks take you out of. First off, Jaden is a superhero because, like, no matter how many times he got sacked, he found a way to get you in good down and distance. If he didn't convert the first down by himself, so that was really good at Jaden. But like the penalties really hurt him. And then you're talking about one of the ones where I'm like, when they going for it on 4th down, when they going for it on the last drive in that 4th quarter, I'm like, if you get sacked, bro, and you're like, or you get that holding and you're in 2nd and 20 something, why are we trying to screenplay, right? If the goal is to make them burn timeouts and you're going to run it with B-Rob anyway, I didn't understand why you would even risk a pass, period, when you could just run it to B-Rob and hopefully he gets you like 10 yards on the first play. Hopefully he gets you 4 yards on the second play and you have a better shot at a field goal to make it a 10-point game if that was your goal anyway. Like you're already out of field goal range. Go for the field goal, but make sure they have the least amount of timeouts as possible when they get the ball back. I think if anything on offense, those were the biggest mistakes, that one red zone drive and then how they handled the final couple plays of the game on offense for them. Now I think outside of that, bro, like you can't, like, if your offensive line is getting their ass, well, that is what it is. But outside of that, like the play calling standpoint or like situational awareness, I think that's what got them in trouble in certain instances. But outside of that, solid game on that front.
Yeah, Mual, I actually couldn't agree more with your thoughts on the biggest mistakes that the offense made and the biggest criticism I had of the offense. First off, yes, that drive where you're on the 1 yard line, and for me, because as we talked before the show, I had Brian Robinson anytime touchdown. So I'm like, oh, yeah, Brian's going to get the anytime touchdown right here on the 1 yard line. And then we're running a bootleg right there. So that was one thing that I had a ding on Cliff for. And then, of course, like I said, that last drive in that position where what you're talking about, on that 2nd down play, yeah, you're trying to get them to burn timeout. So at that point, I'm probably running the ball. And on the 3rd down, I'm looking for a pass to get closer because at this point, I'm looking for an easy field goal. I'm like, all right, this drive's wonky at this point. We're 2nd and 20. We just got the holding call. Let us try our best to get into an easy field goal position for this kicker. I did not want this kicker kicking a 50-plus yard field goal to kind of try to seal the game for us because we don't know this kicker. He's brand new here. I know he's played for the Giants earlier in the season, but that's just not something you want to put on the kicker. But again, you go out there, you throw a screen pass on that 2nd down, you give the Giants a chance, the Saints a chance to, not have to use one of their timeouts. So they get to keep a timeout. You go to the 2-minute warning, then you run that little run play that gets hardly no yards, and then you're in a position where this field goal kicker has to come out and kick a 54-yard field goal. Not even close. So, yeah, those were the issues I definitely had on the offensive side of the football. I mean, it's not too much else to kind of really get upset about with the offense other than some plays just weren't executed. But other than that, Jaden Daniels had another one of his very efficient days today. I mean, he should have had more touchdowns today. His completion percentage was crazy. Like I said, outside of those, deep ball misses, I mean, Jaden Daniels was damn near flawless. Even when you look at the sacks that Jaden Daniels took today, he had 8 sacks. I mean, 8 sacks is bad under any circumstances. The offensive line was getting their ass whooped. But let's be honest, a lot of those sacks was covered sacks. When you look at the wide receivers downfield, everyone was covered, and Jaden's at the last minute, like, all right, I got to go try to make a play, and then boom, he's getting sacked. So, it's one of those things where, like I said, I didn't have too many complaints about Jaden Daniels. I thought he was, fantastic today. If I had to grade him, I would probably give him a B+, A- somewhere in that range, because I just didn't think he was just, I thought he gave you the chance to dominate this game. You just had a couple of instances where the execution was off. You gave the Saints momentum that you didn't want to give this team, and you didn't put them away kind of early as you wanted to put them away. And that's why you were in a position late in the game where this team can almost steal a win from you. So, I mean, those little things, yes, those are my nicks against the offense. But again, I mean, this should have been a better day. This should have been a 30-plus point scoring day for Washington. And we're talking about a boring game where we just, a good boring game where we walk away with a dub. But instead, we're left here like, oh, man, we still holding our chest like we just actually, kind of stole a victory ourselves. So, I mean, it's not too much to complain about. I know we, kind of upset, but when we look back on it, we're going to be happy to come away with this W.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to touch on the field goal aspect, Dan Quinn, known to be a player's coach and having faith in guys, even if he just met you 48 hours ago, still have faith in you. I think at some point, if your girl keeps cheating on you and you thinking that it's going to be a different result, then you're the fool. I mean, look how many kickers Washington has went through this season alone. They knew that a place kicker was something that they needed for sure. In free agency, they went out early and acquired Brandon McManus, right? Unfortunately, he got, accused of something that he's been able to get himself cleared of, which led Washington from a PR standpoint, not trying to stand by his side and riding it out. And they released him. Now he's the kicker for the Green Bay Packers, and I don't think he's missed since he's been kicking for the Packers. So now you just keep going through this carousel of kickers, so you really don't know what you're getting, and you have to try to see what you do have. If you're gonna bring in a guy and sign him to your roster, you got to be able to see if he can kick a 50+ yard kick. Unfortunately, Greg Joseph couldn't do it, and he will definitely be with his wife this week. He'll be in Dulles later on tonight, pack up his hotel room, and get prepared for the birth of his child with his wife this week, because he will not be back kicking for Washington. I mean, offensively, Dre, like you said, like wide receivers ain't getting open, man. I don't know how much KJ Osborne ain't gonna change too much of that, even when he's active. Yeah, you gotta find something there. You gotta figure out something. I will say offensively, Cliff came out of the bye utilizing more motion than he ever has so far. As an offensive coordinator, I've seen all type of motion happening today in comparison to the other weeks. But ultimately, you would have wanted to see the running game be more efficient. You would have wanted to see Jeremy McNichols get some touches, Chris Rodriguez and B-Rob carry the load. Unfortunately, that didn't take place. That would have slowed down the amount of sacks that were accumulated. But Jaden Daniels balled. Like, he played an A+ game to me, especially knowing that outside of Terry, his weapons are Olamide Zaccheaus, Diami Brown, Jamison Crowder, Ben Sinnott, John Bates. Yeah, and that's it, because Zach Ertz ended up making that amazing one-hand catch, but he ended up getting a concussion. So you didn't have anybody else to really rely on, and I think he played an amazing game. I think Cliff mixed up some of his play callings, but at sometimes I think he got too excited in the pass game. But who knows, man? The flow of the game was weird. Yeah, B-Rob's y'all guy. But yeah, I think at some point you just got to plant your foot in the ground and go, bro. Like, stop dancing. You are not Barry Sanders. But yeah, that's just how I see it from an offensive standpoint.
All right. Let's go ahead and get through Underdog Fantasy, and then get to the one sentence takeaways. As always, man, this podcast, Trap a Dive, it's brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. It is the best place to play champions. Sign up now using promo code and deposit using promo code Trap a Dive to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Like I said, always this season, Underdog's gonna be running a special promo or bonus almost every single day, like Profit Boost, where you can pump up your winners in just a tap when you apply the boost to eligible entries. Discounts, when you get adjusted projections on certain player stats, and free picks, where they're basically a short thing, and you can just hit higher than the 0.5 on a certain person's stat number, such as a B-Rob today, 0.5 on his rushing yards. You would have hit on that. Plus, all new users get a free pick, man. I told y'all about my plays this weekend. My air raid was ugly. That boy, Jalen Waddle, I had him on the air raid picks, right? Higher than 49.5 receiving yards. The man had 0. Now, who on God's green earth gonna ever predict something like that? He ain't even have a yard. That's terrible. And it's unfortunate. Xavier Legette had him on 3.5, over 3.5 receptions or higher than. He had 2 receptions. And it's unfortunate because if he hit, we in good shape over here on Underdog Fantasy. Anyway, I love the air raid. I'm gonna keep doing it. Over 50 yards receiving.
Hey,
you can just hit. Yo,
you know what you should have did?
what I should have did.
You should have took the under, dog.
Hey, Brad, download the app today and use Trapper Dive as your promo code, man, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. I repeat, use the code Trapper Dive to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. You must be 18 or older. 19 or older in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. If you're in Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. If you're in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line. That's at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. All right, fellas. One sentence takeaways. Let's see what we got. It's not gonna be pretty in these responses, but we're gonna see what the people talking about. We're gonna see what the people talking about. Cliff Kingsbury, who is this from? Pat Jam. Oh Lord. Cliff Kingsbury is not the answer at offensive coordinator. Thank you, Patrick, for your contribution. Okay. Goat. Oh Lord. Goat Lacia. Sorry, I didn't know what she said at first, but she said, "Can we release BSJ already?" It is kind of wild though. I think that's a little unnecessary after this game, but it is interesting that he was pretty much quiet all day, and when his name got called, it was the hands to the face. Hands to the face at the line of scrimmage.
So he was the odd man out today, right? Remember we asked that question?
I heard he was playing special teams. Yeah. He's playing special teams too. I was missing it. I wasn't really too locked in on everybody that was out there. But apparently he was playing special teams today. D. Smith report. If we don't stick to our roots as a run first team, we will continue to have issues. Oh my Lord. He's been talking about this for like 3 days. Titus Jones, get OBJ. Receivers made spot plays, but the offense was literally JD and Terry or bust. DC Dinero Cash missed opportunities. Out the way, Jay. Penalties absolutely killed us. For the win says on to Philly. Zim, our guy Zim. They need talent everywhere. Okay. Y'all done messed up. This game was the reason why drafting a QB with not much help around him is so terrifying, and probably also the reason you do it anyway if he's a special talent. I really like that statement. I really like that statement. I mean, but it's obvious because like we kind of knew like when you get into those little spouts or you need like help from somebody, you need a superstar at that quarterback position who's going to elevate your team. And we talked about it earlier. Jaden was that guy for Washington the entire day. It was Jaden who moved the chains with his legs. It was Jaden who moved the chains with his arms. Like some people mentioned, it was Terry in the receiving game. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I don't understand. Like Zacchaeus got a couple first downs. I don't like some big first downs. Matter of fact, even that last drive, I think Zacchaeus was one of the ones who converted for a first down before they went to the deep shot to Diami. And then obviously Zach Ertz before he got hurt. But to that point, y'all done messed up. I like your comment. And it's just a reminder that that's the reason why you drafted Jaden Daniels. Amani experience. Amani, I see you in the chat as well. The sloppiest win of the season is what Amani said. The 54th, Washington went 1-0. Lucky lefty. We're not a good football team for real. Number one son, pathetic performance coming off a bye week. Nelford only need to win by 1. Let me get one more. Real top man Della. Terry should have had 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think we're going to leave it at that. Appreciate everybody who always drops the comments on the one sentence takeaways. They are pretty funny sometimes and very interesting. But yeah, Dre, that's where we are. Honestly, bro, yeah, defensively, we talked about the offense for a good portion. Defensively, I do think that was a weird game because, like, sure, you don't want to give up like 19 points in the surge that New Orleans, scored those 19 points, right? Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I feel like this probably is a different game if we have those opportunities where Washington gets in the end zone and extends the lead. Like, I'm not blaming one side over the other. I'm literally not. I'm saying if that happens on offense, right? And you're talking about a different team defensively who, if you give up like a couple touchdowns at the end of the game, that just looks like a team that's trying to backdoor cover. Like, the game's still out of reach. But Spencer Rattler probably does make an impact one way or another. Like, Jake Hayner was terrible. That's how bad he was in the first half. So, like, I'm just of that instance where I look at that defense. I say it's a weird game. There's no excuse for giving up 19 points so quickly. But I'm also kind of confused because, like, I don't think they played a terrible game. It was some moments where, like, they, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that even makes sense to anybody else. I just think it was a weird game defensively. I also think, like, New Orleans got help with a couple penalties that y'all would say, on the ref side is like, whether it's BS or not. I think that, Washington got in their own way. But I also think, the self-inflicted mistakes is the reason why New Orleans is even in some of these positions to score to begin with. That's kind of where
I think it goes back to the discipline that I talked about, in that second half. Now, you are right in the sense that if you did some of those things differently on the offensive end, the execution-wise, maybe those Jaden Daniels plays goes a little bit differently, then it's a different game on the defensive side of the football. But there's one person that doesn't care or give a damn about what happens on the offensive side of the football. They only care about what happens on the defensive side of the football, and that's Joe Witt. Like, I guarantee you, Joe Witt is pissed off about what happened in that or what transpired in that second half. He's not the type of person that's going to make excuses, i.e. the refs. He's going to look at what his players did wrong. And that's kind of what I'm looking at in this sense. And like I said, it was a lot of disciplinary issues, like the penalties. You got 2 rough in the passer penalties. I mean, of course, I think they were a little sketchy, but they happened and they didn't, you left the ref. You didn't leave it up for debate. Like, it was up for debate, and the refs were able to call those plays. So that's a discipline issue. Ben St. Juice, he wasn't in the game often. I was kind of checking to see who the personnel was as far as the cornerbacks go. Mikey was on the outside. Lattimore was on the outside. You had Noah on the inside. So the play that Ben came in, that's the only play I really noticed him in the game, and he gets a goddamn penalty. He gets a penalty as soon as you kind of notice he's in the game, and that was a critical play because I want to say, I could be wrong, but I think that was a third down, and they were about to get off the field, or they were even about to pin the Saints in a bad third down situation and get off the field. But either way, that's another penalty that keeps the Saints on the field, keeps Spencer Rattler with the momentum. And I mean, I really do think those like roughing the passer penalties gave him some confidence that, hey, these refs are really watching things. I can kind of let this thing rip and play a little bit more freely. And he got that confidence going. But again, the disciplinary issues, that's where the coaches have to come in. Like Joe Witt has to get his unit together. Like, everyone has to be solid and sound in their technique. Like, Dante Fowler, keep your hands lower. You can't go up for that head neck area. The refs are looking for those things. Ben St. Juice. I don't even know what you can tell him at this point, because this is something that he constantly does. He's a grabby player. Like, he grabs. And in this case, he grabs a face mask and he gets called for a penalty. But otherwise, Alvin Kamara leaves the game. I'm thinking, all right, Saints' whole offense leaves the game. But then you have Kendre Miller. He comes in the game. He's bursting off 10-yard runs, 11-yard runs here and there. And that goes back to the issues that Washington has been kind of having during this season, is stopping the run game. Like, Washington has had issues stopping the run game all season on defense. And you hate to see a guy like Kendre Miller come in. And I get it. Like, Washington's thinking they're playing the pass at this point in the game because the Saints has to be in desperation mode. But the Saints are still busting and ripping off these big chunk yard rushing plays, keeping themselves in the game. So there's a bunch of things for Joe Witt to kind of get this unit together, and I'm with you. It wasn't a terrible game by the defense. It was just a weird, wonky second half that the Saints just kept getting chance after chance. Again, I allude that to the disciplinary actions. But like I said earlier in the show, there's things to like about this defense. Like I said, Marshon Lattimore's impact was felt in this game, all game. Like I said, he didn't get targeted at all. Now, part of that could be the Saints knowing who he is and they know and respect him, but we should like that as well. Like, the Saints respecting a guy,
He drew opportunities to Mikey,
yes.
bro, and he had one pick and then he dropped the other one.
Yeah, well, Mikey actually had an opportunity for about 3 picks in this game. There was a couple of, one of them he flat out dropped, but there was another play he could have made a play on, I thought could have been 3 picks in this game. But see, Mikey's impact is about to start rising. Now, this is the impact you wanted to see out of Marshon Lattimore. Everybody else on this defense is going to benefit from a Marshon Lattimore. Like I said, you're going to see the aggressiveness from a Jeremy Chin more. You may see Quan Martin able to start to make more plays on the ball at the free safety spot. Mikey Sanders, still, we've already seen his impact. He could have had a multi-interception game today with Marshon Lattimore out there. So it's going to be interesting going forward to see how many quarterbacks test him, because, again, this could have just been a Saints thing where they know who Marshon is, and they're like, man, we're just not throwing the ball that guy's way because we know how good he is. But I want to see, this Philly game. Philly coming up this week. If Philly's going to have a game plan where they're going to throw the ball away from Marshon, we're going to have the same kind of impact. But again, like I said, we're mad about some things that happened in this second half as far as, the disciplinary issues, letting the Saints back in the game. But again, I thought that was some encouraging things that we could take from this game on the defensive side of the football going forward.
Look, it's only one way that you got the floor, AJ, and one thing. It's only one way that Washington fixes things defensively, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you. You gotta find a way to get Big Phil back on the defense, bro. Like, if you don't use him in the run game, bro, like, you just gonna keep getting gashed like that. That's the only way that this defense gets better. You get superstar back on the field, and you get yourself some dubs, bro. That's the only way. I know AJ agrees with me.
Yeah, so in regards to the defense today, Marshon Lattimore's impact was definitely felt. He shut down one side of the field, provided opportunities for Mikey and Noah to flip the field, and Mikey was able to get an interception overall. If I'm not mistaken, Dorrance Armstrong finished the game with 3 sacks, or either 2.5 sacks.
He had 2. I think one of them should have been 3, but something happened. But he had 2, I think.
A penalty, I think. A penalty was on 1.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't really complain too much about the defense. I think the way that quarterback room is set up is 2 different type of players. And Haener, I don't really necessarily know what he brings to the table, but in the game, he was essentially a statue. And if he did have to get out the pocket, he just panicked. Whereas with Spencer Rattler, that's kind of a place he's lived his collegiate career at Oklahoma and South Carolina. He was a bit more comfortable. I think that the defense had to also adjust to who they were facing at quarterback when that switch was made. They could pin their ears back and just go after Haener, and he really wasn't gonna do much with it. He was gonna just give it up, throw the ball up, or whatever the case, or just fall. He kept falling in the dome so much. He was slipping. I don't understand that. But yeah, when Spencer came in, you could feel that the offense opened a bit more. Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for the Saints, could call some more plays. He had a guy that was willing to stretch the field and look for MVS in the middle of the field or deep downfield. So it made the defense have to adjust on the fly. And it's kind of hard to do so when you already caught a groove for a whole entire half, how somebody is playing. And now you got to go against a guy that's what do you call it? He's a gunslinger. He's like a Brett Favre kind of mode of a type of mentality as a player. So I can't really complain too much about the defense, man. Of course, you would like to see them stop the run a bit more. I'm not quite sure why Michael Walker played some good snaps in the first half. I can't remember how many played in the second half.
Jordan
Jeremy
McGee ended up
Chin.
replacing him.
Oh, okay. But Jeremy Chin, he was able to blitz a bit more. That was what was helping them get to Hayner. They were attacking a particular side of the offensive line of the Saints. You hope that he can, pass concussion protocol going against Philly this week. Ben was on the field here and there at corner. I guess you could say the odd man out in a sense was Michael Davis because he was inactive. But Joe Witt Jr., he's going to use guys how he sees fit. Unfortunately, when Ben came in the game, he had a penalty. It is what it is on that front. But, to wrap this all up, Jay Tyler, where you at? Still waiting for you to join this Trap or Dive episode. You got you chatting about some different things in here, but you ain't trying to talk about Diami Brown. And
if that penalty though, AJ,
did he even have catches or were those
I'm
just
about to say, hey, Diami. I said Diami. Hey, AJ, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Your boy had 3 for 30.
Bro, were those actual catches? I don't know if I missed it. I seen like a reverse.
Yeah, he got 3 for 30.
Nah, you said I didn't see him catch a ball besides the one that got called back. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I missed it or what.
His longest one was 16, so that tell you he got some yards, bro.
Okay, that's good.
Let's end this with Dan Quinn at his presser. He actually spoke about the 9 seconds left on the clock. And we'll get up out here after we hear from him. Let's play this and share my screen. All right, here we go.
I don't, and I am absolutely taking the high road right now, Dave, about that. I saw a quick video of that, and so I will wait from the response from New York, but those 3 seconds are critical. Just say that. On to Philadelphia. I don't know how to answer other than I saw the replay in the game. I was frustrated why. And so, but in the moment, you don't get to ask, and you don't get to usually the feedback when there's that type of intensity. Hey, I do.
So my first time hearing it, he just said he'll take the high road, but I think that response within itself kind of told us exactly how he felt. He didn't know it in the moment, but when he looked at it, he was like, "Yeah, that's some bullshit." So a lot of players I was looking at, a lot of players wasn't aware about the clock thing. So
no,
I think a lot.
Yeah, man, score more touchdowns and you ain't got to worry about this shit. Like that. That's just how I feel. I don't be trying to nitpick about things like that.
Nah, that was bro. They could have lost. They could have lost.
Yeah,
there, bro.
And they should.
That was bullshit. But it was bullshit though, AJ. I don't care what we can sit up there and talk about school. Yes, we want to score more touchdowns and all that. But you don't. What justification was there to stop the clock at 9 seconds?
But the players
there was no justification
on the ball a bit more. One of the players should have almost died on the ball after Foster.
They did that. Someone
didn't do it long enough, bro. Like,
AJ, let's acknowledge the fact. I was about to say, let's acknowledge the fact that they stopped the clock.
I really don't even care about it. I just want you to score more points. Yeah. Don't even
we all do
in this predicament.
I'm about to say, I think we all agree with that,
about
bro.
the clock running out, running. Because I mean, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. I don't think most of us even realized that until after the game when
No,
maybe
I
no!
realized
I
it
said
during
it.
the
I
game.
said it
I
live.
said I was yelling. I was
I said it
screaming.
live. What you mean? I'm like, bro, I know I'm not tripping, bro. They stopped the clock. And then they got the spike off with 3 seconds left. I thought it was a second in real time. I only knew it was 3. I knew it was 4 seconds after the fact. But I was like, I know they stopped the clock for at least a second, bro. And it was a full 4 seconds that they stopped the clock, bro. They spiked the ball with 3 seconds left. That is literally about to lose. They're getting a chance at winning or still in the game because the refs gave them 3 extra seconds on the clock. That is a big deal, regardless of them. Us needing to score points, we agree. But that's a big ass deal, bro. You can't swipe that.
And we still need to score more
touchdown.
points, AJ. Yeah, we want to score touchdowns. We do want to do that, but we also want the timekeepers to do their job as well and be fair.
Hey man, it's the NFL, bro. Like we see how many mistakes happen with officiating, the lack of real uses of instant replay for so many different calls. Like the NFL doesn't want to fix their refereeing issue or clock management stuff. Like they wanted to keep going because it builds intrigue in some of these moments. That's it. I mean, I think that's why I just don't.
AJ, did you see it in real time, bro? Did you see it in real time?
AJ seen it.
I'm about to say, did you?
I was watching.
Did you see it in real time, bro?
The game. I was watching the game and I was seeing what was happening. But
that ain't nah. I mean, did you see the clock stop in real time?
The clock wasn't bothering me. What was bothering me was the fact that a 54-yard kick was missed,
bruh,
and they let these fools drive downfield.
Bro, did you see the clock stop? Did you see the clock stop in real time? No, bro.
I personally seen it, but I wasn't like, oh no. I wasn't screaming.
Bro,
I was screaming.
That's hilarious, bro. I wasn't screaming, bro. But I'm literally like, there's no way that ever happens. I've never even seen it. I swear to God, right hand up, bro. I'm not lying. Like I may misremember, but I'm not lying. I'm telling my truth when I tell you I've never seen that before in a game, bro. Where the clock stops in an NFL game where the clock stops like that and there's no justification, no excuse, no reasoning, no acknowledgement of it. Even the announcers, how does the announcers miss that? They don't even talk about it, bro.
Dang, no one said anything.
It's because what I just laid out to you guys. They don't bro. This is a billion-dollar industry, bro. If they really cared about these refs getting calls right, they would do things certain ways, and they don't care. So it's like, for me, I understand y'all grievance, you feel me? But for me, like it went over my, not even went over my head. It was just like, all right, bet the game over. They won 2019, but shit, y'all need to score some more damn points. Like I ain't even focused on anything else. Like cool that they got the stop to not have to lose that game in such a gut clinching way, or gut wrenching way, I should say. But I wasn't really. I'm just like Dan Quinn. Like, what can I do at this point? We got a dub. Like, if we
Dan Quinn pissed.
He
was pissed.
AJ, bro. He was pissed off, bro.
So it's like that's why he's just leaving it alone.
No, that was the angriest I've seen Dan Quinn, because you see how he said, I gotta take the high road on this question. You know, he had to really think about it. Like, so basically, AJ, for you like, man, the referee could have took the damn ball himself and ran in the end zone to score for New Orleans, and all you would have been mad at was the Commanders for not scoring more touchdowns.
Hey, I see way too many bad calls in football games. Like even in this particular game, think about it. The one pass down the sideline that they considered to be broken up, that was PI. The dude never looked back for the ball.
Oh like yeah, that was you talking about on Terry, right? The deep shot to Terry.
Yeah, that was
that was pass interference.
So
that was
like,
definitely pass interference.
What do you want me to do? Like these are basic ass calls. You think I'm gonna think that they're gonna get the clock right? Hell nah.
No, I mean, come on, man. That's
right,
timekeeper got one job. That's it.
PI is game changing. That PI is game changing. You feel me? So it's like, bruh, they call games certain ways. That's why it's interesting. Like if you watch the Pittsburgh Steelers in their secondary, right? They can be more aggressive. They could do like what Ben got flagged on today. Like Joey Porter, he can do that all game. Even back in the day with Richard Sherman and Brandon Browner at cornerback, they could be physical at the line of scrimmage. But if it's a different team that uses that same approach, on a particular opponent, they'll call it differently. Like it's all judgment calls by human
Hold on,
beings who
bro.
are
What did I
flawed.
just hear? Did you say? Did you?
I just
Bro,
said that it's judgment calls by flawed
you
human
say?
beings.
Hold on, wait. Did you say other defenses who play similar or as aggressive as Ben St. Jude's do? Like they'll
No,
typically.
that's
I'm asking because I was like, that's what I heard. I'm asking is
what
what did you say? That's like other teams who play as aggressively, like Pittsburgh, who plays man defense, physical in your face. Like they don't get like because they're a physical defense and they play like that. They typically get away with that type of play compared to other defenses who don't play like that across the board. They'll get some calls when they play a little bit more physical. Did I hear that right?
the refs will give certain defenses that play that aggressive, especially in bump man coverage, more leeway. Whereas if you're like a Washington Commanders
Who has
defensive
a
back, you could be Ben, you could be Emmanuel Forbes, you could be Jamal Forrest lined up out there. If you get a bit handsy like that, you're gonna get called.
That's okay.
I mean, just
all right, bro.
you could go look at the Steelers game against the Commanders. Like Joey Porter was getting to be, he got to be handsy as he wanted to be, and he wasn't getting called on nothing. So if you're another team, just take away Washington, take away Ben. Like that wasn't the focus of what I was saying. What I was saying is like their judgment calls. Like referees go into certain games knowing this team does a certain thing a certain way.
They have a scouting report. Yes,
we're gonna let them roll with it that way. You feel me? Like that's what I'm saying.
All right.
Hey,
yeah,
we your ass up.
We honestly are out of here, bro. We didn't talk about like the last 10 minutes about nothing, bro.
Over 50 yards and scored the touchdown.
he went from 8 yards to 50. All right, bro. That's gonna wrap it up for us. Commanders go to 9-5, man. We out of here. See y'all Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of the games. Appreciate everybody who watched and tapped in live. Make sure again hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We up out of here. Peace.
Chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Down, set, watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.